The Athletic once again ranks West Virginia at the bottom of the list. But is it as really bad as it seems? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Couz's Corner. And this time, we're talking about West Virginia men's basketball and a past men's basketball coach. As a matter of fact, two of them. So stick around. Let's have that conversation and let's do a resume comparison right now. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf content around West Virginia Mountaineer sports and the Big 12. Recently, CJ Moore over at The Athletic put out his list of the top 25 college basketball coaches since the year 2000, since the turn of the century. And West Virginia Mountaineers, fortunately, have been led by two of those coaches. Both John Beilein and Bog Huggins made the list. But when you look at where Bog Huggins was placed on the list, it was dead last. Is that too low? Well, we're going to look at the ranking. We're going to look at the resume. And we're going to see, was it too low? Was Bog Huggins' 23 years of coaching from the year 2000 through 2023, was it underappreciated and underrated by The Athletic? Well, let's go ahead and pull up an article that I did over at our website, wvsportschat.com. I recommend you go check out that website and also support what we're doing over there. But in this article, I talk about this list, and it says former WVU coaches named in ranking of top 25 coaches of the 2000s. The Athletic's CJ Moore recently released his list of top 25 men's college basketball coaches of the 2000s. Former West Virginia coaches Bog Huggins and John Beilein both made Moore's list. Now, first we're going to focus on Bog Huggins. Bog Huggins came in at the bottom of the ranking at number 25. This seems low for the Hall of Fame coach, who amassed over 900 wins in his career. However, we must keep in mind it was not an all-time list. It was only for the decade of the 2000s. During the 2000s, Huggins won a total of 466 games at three different schools: Cincinnati, Kansas State, and West Virginia. He also made one Final Four, won three regular season conference titles, all those being at either Cincinnati or West Virginia, and three conference tournament championships, again at the same two schools. His teams made 16 total appearances in the NCAA tournament since 2000. Huggins' ability to get maximum effort out of his players and the fact his players adored him were both mentioned by Moore as factors that played a role in the former coach's success. Moore does admit there's a, quote, what could have been element to Huggins' career had he not been forced to resign at Cincinnati. I will add that we could say the same as it relates to how his career ended at WVU. Were it not for his 2023 DUI arrest that forced him out, it's very possible he may still be the head coach for the Mountaineers. He'd have accumulated more wins and possibly more postseason appearances as well. That 2023-2024 roster would have arguably been his most talented WVU team since he arrived in 2007. Unfortunately, Huggins was never able to coach that team because of his forced resignation. And when I first looked at this ranking, I saw Huggins at 25. I'm thinking there is no way he is the 25th ranked coach. He should be much higher than that. But I'll be honest, as I went through the resumes of these other coaches, I actually had no issue with it. And in a minute, I'm going to show you why. Now let's talk about John Beilein. Moore ranked John Beilein at number 17 on his list. The writer specifically notes Beilein being ahead of his time with his two-guard offense, as well as his ability to spot, quote, not blatantly obvious talent, end quote. In addition to his time at West Virginia from 2002 to 2007, Beilein also coached at Richmond and Michigan during the 2000s. And we all remember he left Michigan in 2019 to go to the NBA, and that didn't work out so well, but he left college basketball in 2019, so he has less seasons of coaching than some of the other coaches on this list, including Huggins. It says the Basketball Hall of Famer accumulated 426 wins, two Final Four appearances, three regular season conference titles, two conference tournament titles, and 11 total NCAA tournament appearances during the 2000s. While each coach did it in totally different ways, they are both worthy of their Hall of Fame status for what they did on the sidelines. And I will say, I'll throw this in, I also think they deserve to be on this list, okay? But the article goes on to state, unfortunately, they will both go down as two of the greatest coaches to never win a national championship. Fortunately, though, WVU was part of the success of each coach, and Mountaineer fans were able to experience their greatness. One can debate whether or not these two coaches are ranked properly on this list by The Athletic. What cannot be argued, however, is the impact each coach had on the Mountaineer men's basketball program. Now, let's go ahead and take a peek at the resumes of these two coaches and some of the other coaches on this list. And I'm not going to show every coach. I will tell you, though, once I get through this resume comparison, I will read the list aloud to you and let you know where each coach ranks. And I'm going to leave a link to that article at The Athletic in my description box. But here is, first off, I've got Huggins' resume and Beilein's resume at the top. Huggins was ranked 25th, Beilein 17th. Now, some of you may argue that Huggins was a better coach than Beilein. I think it's a fair argument. I think it's hard to go one way or the other. My personal opinion, I would probably have to go with John Beilein. I think he did more with less, and I think he's much more innovative in how he approached the game. And I think he also had success, in my opinion, more success later in his career. But when you look at Huggins, 466 wins since the turn of the century, but he only averaged 20.9 wins per season. Now, here's where I think Huggins probably deserved to be last of these top 25 coaches. Now, first off, being last on this list is not bad at all. To be one of the top 25 men's college, keep in mind there are over 300 Division I men's basketball programs. Okay? So to be 25th on this list is actually an honor. So I'm not trying to downgrade Huggins at all. But when you look at his resume compared to some of the other coaches, I think 25th is fair. He only averaged 20.9 wins a season. It was the lowest average of any coach on the list. He had one Final Four appearance, which was, a lot of the other coaches had more. No national titles, 3 regular season conference titles, 3 conference tournament titles. So, those don't blow you away necessarily. He did appear in 16 NCAA tournaments, which is good. 16 NCAA tournaments in 23 seasons, basically. So that's not bad. Now, when you look at Beilin, he was 8 spots higher on the list. He had less wins than Huggins, but he did it in less seasons. Because remember, he left the college game in 2019. So he actually averaged 22.4 wins a season. Went to 2 Final Fours. And I know he appeared in at least 1 national title. If my memory serves me correct, he may have been in 2. Let me know in the comments. Was it 1 or 2 for Beilin at Michigan? I think it was 2. Unfortunately, he didn't win either one of them, but he did appear in 2. Huggins never appeared in a national title game, so Beilin has that on him as well. They have the same amount of regular season conference titles, and Beilin has 1 less conference tournament title than Huggins did. And he appeared in 11 NCAA tournament appearances in the 2000s, which is basically the same percentage as Huggins because he did it in less seasons. So you can debate whether those two coaches are ranked accurately or not and whether Huggins should be higher or whether Beilein should be lower or whatever. But those are 2 pretty darn good resumes if you ask me. I'm looking at the glass half full here. Hey, do me a favor. Go check out my good friends over at Appalachia Digital. If you need a brand new website for your small business, or if you're just looking to get found easier on Google, go check out AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. These are the fine folks who designed my brand new website over at WVSportsChat.com. They did a fantastic job. I love their work. I think you will too. So go check them out. AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. Let them know Couz sent you. Now let's get back to the show. Now let's look at some other coaches. As I'm going through this list and I first see some of these names, and I'm thinking there's no way these guys should be higher on this than Huggins. But then I dig deeper into the resumes. Let's look at Bo Ryan, for example. Most of us remember his time at Wisconsin, where he beat that great Kentucky team. I think they were undefeated at the time. Everybody and their brother picked him to win a national title. Bo Ryan's Wisconsin team knocks him off in the NCAA tournament. Ends up playing in the national championship game that year, if I recall. But Wisconsin, he spent time at Wisconsin and a couple seasons at Milwaukee during the 2000s. He was ranked 19th on the list, so a few spots ahead of Huggins. He only had 379 wins, but he left the game in 2019. He actually left in 2016, my fault. So he had even less seasons under his belt than what Beilin did. He also had 2 Final Four appearances, 4 regular season conference titles, 3 conference tournament titles, and 14 NCAA tournament appearances. And here's where it's remarkable for Bo Ryan. He was at Wisconsin for 14 years and made the NCAA tournament in every single one of them. That's impressive. It's hard to do that. To make it every single year, that's hard to do. He made a national title game, 2 Final Fours. Pretty darn good resume for Beilein. Now, you can argue that it's not better than Huggins's, and you can argue that Wisconsin's in the Big Ten, but let's remember, the Big Ten has not been known as a college basketball powerhouse. So it's not really that much easier to win at Wisconsin, in my opinion, than it is at West Virginia. At least it shouldn't be. Now let's go to Scott Drew, who was 18th on this list, one spot behind Beilein and a few spots ahead of Huggins. Scott Drew won 486 games during his time at Baylor, 21.1 wins a year. One Final Four, but an asterisk there because why? He won a national title that year. That alone probably put him ahead of Huggins. 3 regular season conference titles, no conference tournament titles in the Big 12. But let's be honest, Huggins didn't win any of his in the Big 12 either. And then 13 NCAA tournament appearances for Scott Drew at his time at Baylor, and also spent some time at Valparaiso in the 2000s. Now, this is a name when I first saw it, I'm like, there is no way Dana Altman should be ranked higher than Bob Huggins on this list. But then I go to the next line. And remember, Dana Altman is at Oregon now. Also spent several years at Creighton. Dana Altman has won 598 games since the turn of the century, folks. It's 23.9 wins a year. He's been to a Final Four. He's won 7 conference championships in the regular season, 8 conference tournament championships, and has also been in the NCAA tournament 14 times. So you could argue he should be higher on this list with 598 wins, right? Than 21st. Maybe he should even be ahead of Beilein. I don't know. Then you go to Matt Painter from Southern Illinois and most recently at Purdue, now at Purdue, ranked 16th on the list. Now, he's actually the first one we're talking about here that's actually ahead of Beilein on this list. Should he be? Well, he's won 10. He's won a lot more games, but he's also still coaching. He's won 23.6. He's averaging 23.6 wins a year, slightly better than what Beilein did. Went to 1 Final Four, one less than Beilein. But he's also won 6 conference regular season championships, which is 3 more than Beilein, and the same amount of conference tournament titles, which is the same as Beilein. And he's been to the NCAA tournament 17 times out of 24 seasons now. Or 25 seasons, whatever. However the math adds up. It's pretty darn good. So you could argue that Matt Painter shouldn't be that high, but it's hard. It's also hard to argue against it. Matt Painter's got a good resume. Then the last one, which is really head-scratching, is Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett, we all remember him as being the head coach at Virginia. He was ranked 12th on this list. And I'm thinking, man, is Tony Bennett really the 12th best coach of the 2000s? I mean, 2006 is really when the clock started ticking for him as a Division I head coach. And he started at Washington State in 2006, was there for 3 seasons before he went to Virginia, where he left in 2024. So he only has 433 wins. However, he's averaging 24.1 wins a year, which is more than any of the other guys I have on this spreadsheet. Because again, he didn't start coaching he wasn't coaching D1 basketball right in 2000. It was 2006 before he started. So he's coached less seasons than all these other coaches. Yet, he's went to 12 NCAA tournaments, which is even one more than Beilein. Went to 1 Final Four, which is the same as Huggins, the same as Altman, the same as Matt Painter. And an asterisk beside it. Why? Because of that national title he won at Virginia. He's also won 6 He's also won 6 regular season conference titles and 2 conference tournament titles. So I'm not sure I would put Tony Bennett 12th on the list, but I definitely think he deserves to be there, and it's hard to argue. The fact that he's got that national title and averaged 24 wins a year, I think he deserves to be higher than the other 2 guys on this list. I really do. Now, the one argument you can make for Huggins here, in my opinion, is that all 3 places, Cincy, West Virginia, K-State, none of those places are easy to recruit to, and none of them are easy to win at. And he was able to win at all 3 places. He basically brought the Kansas State basketball program back to life in 1 year. So what he did there was remarkable. And he would have stayed at K-State had his alma mater at West Virginia not come calling. But again, when you stack resumes up, it's hard to argue that these other coaches should not be ahead of Bob Huggins. I'm going to go ahead and read down the list quickly. Number 1 on the list, again, I'll leave this article in the description box, a link to it. Number 1 was Bill Self, Illinois and Kansas. 2, Roy Williams, Kansas and North Carolina. 3, Mike Krzyzewski, Duke. 4, Jay Wright, Hofstra and Villanova. All these guys have won national titles. 5, Rick Pitino, Louisville, Iona, St. John's. 6, Billy Donovan, Florida. 7, Mark Few, Gonzaga. Now, he has not won a national title, but he has won 716 games and averaging almost 29 wins a year. So that's impressive. 8 is John Calipari, Memphis, Kentucky, Arkansas. 9, Tom Izzo, Michigan State. 10, Kelvin Sampson, Oklahoma, Indiana, Houston. 11, Brad Stevens, Butler. 12, I mentioned Tony Bennett. 13, Jim Calhoun, UConn. 14, Dan Hurley, Wagner, Rhode Island, UConn. 15, Jim Boeheim, Syracuse. 16, Matt Painter, Southern Illinois, Purdue. 17, I mentioned John Beilein. 18, Scott Drew. Bo Ryan at 19. Bruce Pearl came in at 20 at Milwaukee, Tennessee, and Auburn. He's won 477 games, averaging almost 23 wins a year, but has won 6 regular season conference titles and went to 2 Final Fours. Dana Altman, I mentioned. Rick Barnes came in at 22. He's been at Texas and Tennessee, has won 591 games over that span since the 2000s. Gary Williams from Maryland came in at 23, won a national title at Maryland, also went to 2 Final Fours. Sean Miller at 24, at Xavier, Arizona, back to Xavier, and now at Texas. 487 wins, 24 wins a year, 13 NCAA tournament appearances, no Final Fours, no national titles. You could argue he's a little bit low on the list, or should be, maybe he shouldn't be higher than Huggins, but it's only 1 spot higher. So again, what's the big deal there? And he has won more games than Huggins since 2000, and actually did it in less time because he didn't start coaching at the D1 level till 2004. So he won more games than Bob Huggins in a shorter time frame. So again, that's probably why he's ahead of him on this list. And then 25 was Huggins. So what do you think? Give me your thoughts on, did you think Huggins was ranked too low? What about Beilein? Did you think Beilein was ranked too low, or did you agree with where Beilein came in ranked? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I also want to remind you that you can support my channel for free by hitting the thumbs up button, especially if you like this content. If you're listening on podcast-only platforms, always give that 5-star rating. That really helps us out. Shout out to VIP members of this episode: Lonnie the Milwaukee Road, WVU Fan 13, Okie King, Shaq, Browns and Beers. If you want to be a paid club level member, hit the join button below. There's also a join button over at my channel homepage, right beside the profile photo, which is my channel logo. There's also other ways to support me in the description box. You can make purchases with links there that I can make a commission from. I also have a Couz's Corner merch store. Links to all of that can be found in the description. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. Be sure to check out this video in the corner of your screen that YouTube says you'll like. Quick, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Martin for holding the fort down while I was on vacation last week. He did a fantastic job covering for me. Really want to thank you, Jonathan, for taking care of it, man, and keeping the content flowing even though I wasn't able to. Jonathan's a partner of mine over at wvsportschat.com, so go check us out there and support what we do, along with all the great writers we have. So I really appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Q Country Roads.